After their previous victory, the Dwarves of the Mountains marched their way forward on their eternal mission to reclaim the mountains of Gundabad. However, on this campaign, the men of Dale have lended their support to reinforce their allies to go ahead and further their relationships and expand their own kingdom. However, upon their travels into the Misty Mountains, they are surrounded whilst on the march by a large host from Gundabad with enough power to crush them. But the hardened warriors of Dale are ready to hold their own, and with a skillful general at their side, they will not go down without a fight. Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jackie Fish, and welcome back to part 2 of this Gundabad scenario battle. Don't worry though, if you have not seen the first one, I recommend you go back and watch it, and I'll leave a link to it down below in the description. However, you do not need to see that battle to enjoy this one. Basically, what is happening is the Dwarves have set forth their armies from all 7 clans to go and reclaim the mountain of Gundabad with full force. And in the previous battle, we saw kind of the initial skirmishes. One of the really cool things about this scenario battle is that every battle does lead on to the next one. So the amount of soldiers that the Dwarves lost in the previous battle will correlate in their next engagement. So it was actually a pretty decisive victory for them, so you know they won't be suffering as many casualties, and they'll have a better chance of kind of following this campaign through. You know, eventually if they get to the final battle of this scenario and they've just taken too many casualties, then it might all be folly, and the campaign for Mount Gundabad will be over. However, with Dale supporting, they actually do stand a good chance, but it's whether or not they will be able to actually achieve victory here. Again, if Dale take heavy casualties in this battle at the hands of the Orcs, then they might not be able to muster enough soldiers to actually reinforce the Dwarves in the next engagement. So if you guys are enjoying these scenario-driven battles with consequences at the end of them, do let me know in the comments down below, and obviously by dropping a like. The previous video, I think, got 400 likes, which is really, really good, and I very much appreciate it. Didn't do amazingly on the views, but I think that was mainly my fault for a poor thumbnail, so I'll try my best to entice more of you guys to enjoy these. But honestly, if you do want to see the next installment, then make sure you do go ahead and drop a like and a comment down below, as that's really kind of what it comes down to. If this video does well enough on likes, I don't mind even if it doesn't do great on views. So yeah, if you want to see more scenario battles, drop a like, drop a comment down below. It really does go above and beyond and helps the channel out massively. So if we take a look at the map, and I must say as well that this map is absolutely beautiful. The map creators have done a great job. This just screams Middle-earth to me, honestly. Like, I think this is a Rohan map, maybe? But yeah, this just reminds me so much of, you know, when Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli are running through the dense lands of Rohan, and just, yeah, seeing all this stuff. It looks absolutely awesome. So as you can see, we have 2 formations from Dale here set up, marching along the road, and the Gundabad forces have obviously got word that they are marching to reinforce their Dwarven allies after the previous battle, as they continue to march closer and closer towards Gundabad, and they have set themselves up ready to descend upon this allies, trying to at least reduce it. Again, their goal is not to necessarily win. Obviously, winning and dispersing this Dale force would be amazing. It would basically mean that Dale can't then reinforce in the next battle and would prevent them from entering if they manage to take a victory here. But again, even if they just take a pretty decisive kind of, I guess, decisive defeat, or I guess Pyrrhic defeat, then that means Dale's forces in the next battle would be severely reduced as well. So I think that's such an interesting thing. And obviously as well, big shout out to the guys who played in this battle before we do finally get started. Obviously without them, this replay would not be possible, and it's great to see some people taking these battles to the next level almost. It makes me really excited to see. So let's jump ahead until the ambush is ready to be launched, and we'll see how Dale fare. It seems like the ambush has been sprung. Orcs kind of just marauding over the hill into sight, and Dale quickly, due to their skillful commander, go ahead and have the ability to form up quite quickly, able to get that front line operational, being able to send out cavalry scouts to truly see the mass of the Orcs that just come plowing towards them. I mean, that looks absolutely amazing, seeing all the Orcs just amass, and I imagine we'll be seeing some coming over that hill momentarily. Orcs from the left as well going in. The archers get into position and start unleashing a volley, and there you go, a nice little cavalry charge here by Vidalians, taking a harpoon volley, however able to smash in on these beast snaggers, and that's going to be able to do some really good damage. These guys are not ones for taking a charge. They are measly goblins, and the cavalry will rip through them very easy. You can see them just running down the battle line, doing some really decent damage. Another cavalry charge coming in as well, hitting hard into the forces of Gundabad, and that's really one of like the downsides of the Gundabad faction is they don't really have any form of cavalry until the developers add in like wargs into the game. You know, a lot of these evil factions are going to really struggle for that elite cavalry. Obviously, we know we have Mordor has one, but besides that, you know, they don't really have much else. Obviously, Harad and the Eastlings also have good cavalry, but yeah, the other Orc factions definitely are going to struggle for a little while. And there we go. I mean, not a bad charge off. Obviously, these Orc snaggers will come back, or the Mirkwood Raiders, sorry, will end up coming back probably from routing. However, that was a good charge from the Dalian cavalry, reducing a handful of them, but yeah, 100 plus kills on them already. Obviously, keep in mind that, you know, these are very trash units, so the kills don't necessarily mean it's going to be anything too crazy. But yeah, I mean, so far, Dale were in a perfect position to form up here and get ready to hold the line. Obviously, word has got back to their allies in the rear of the formation, and they're able to set up like a rear position here just to make sure they don't get outflanked and hit from the side. And yeah, as I said, like honestly, like, they've done a pretty good job here of turning this ambush completely on its head, because right now they're in a very defensive position. Obviously, balance of power isn't particularly in their favor, and they are outnumbered, but they're obviously going to be starting to push forward now, trying to make that distance off on the enemy and yeah, try and fight their way through the ambush. Again, one of the big deadly things will be if the enemy can kind of get in between the ranks, like in between the ribcage almost, and they're ready to push in. Does it seem like we're going to get another cavalry charge here? I can't imagine this is going to go too well. However, the Orcs of Gundabad are in a pretty thin formation, but again, they can kind of almost sustain these losses. And again, I imagine, you know, they're going to be trying to kill this cavalry as best as possible, because if they kill this cavalry, it means that in the next battle, they get a lot less horses to bring to the engagement. I assume that is how the battle kind of casualty system does work. Maybe I'm a little bit mistaken. I'm not 100% sure. But yes, taking care of his cavalry is going to be an absolute must, because reducing that is super important. On the right flank now, we are seeing the forces being brought up. And honestly, for the most part, this is a very good kind of terrain setup. Obviously, this is an ambush. Of course, it would be. But this is a great terrain setup for Dol Guldur. It basically means that they can't really be outflanked. And that's one of the weaknesses of factions like this, is just being surrounded and enveloped by cavalry. But right now, you know, they're able to really get their soldiers to bear. They're able to get these amazing champions of Dol Guldur into the battle, fighting spearmen and of all things. You know, like, these spearmen don't stand a chance against these ferocious mountains of orcs who are just going to be pounding that battle line with them huge weapons and able just to decapitate the Dalian soldiers, you know, piece by piece. And the cavalry, which is obviously normally one of the main strengths of these factions, are going to be having a much harder time to get themselves stuck in. Like, if they can break through this Dalian spear regiment, these poor militia, these like Dalian spear guard, they're going to definitely struggle. You know, in their leather armor, they're not going to stand a chance. We're also getting some halberds being brought to the fight as well from the Dol Guldur pikes. And I really do hope in the next couple patches we do get kind of the love that Mordor recently got to Dol Guldur and a lot of the other evil factions. They went back to Mordor and they really updated the armor to make it way brighter. I'm not sure if they just like overlaid some brighter textures onto them. They also did redo a bit of the armor. But in Attila, like the armor models, like if I look at it like from this direction, like look how dark the armor can sharp, especially on YouTube as well. But in the most recent updates, they did go back to Mordor and make the armor so much brighter, but still keeping that aesthetic, which was amazing. So hopefully they do the same with Dol Guldur and a lot of the other evil factions, because it does add a lot. I mean, look at this battlefield as well. My God, the men of Dale are up against it, severely being put under pressure. And as I said, if these Dol Guldur champions go underutilized, they're going to really struggle, because they can just get thrown in, kill anything in their path. As we continue to go down this battle line, as arrow fire comes flying in from the back ranks. The Wraiths of Mordor as well reinforcing here. Spectres of a darker time. You have the Lake Town Guard in there as well on the far right hand side. And Medallion Swords will be doing pretty good against everything else they're fighting. But yeah, we're having to see more reinforcements being brought up here now. And this is a nice move. Like, they managed to, they held off with this little rear guard right here, the kind of envelopment force, to try and force the blue Dalian player to commit more of his army forward. We're also seeing a lot of javelins being brought into the fight, and we are now also starting to see some of the units getting close to breaking. This unit of Lake Town Guard, though, up to 130 kills, which is pretty important. A lot of javelin fire now moving in on the marksmen of Dale. Men, not units that you do particularly want to lose. They're very, very valuable, and then javelins able just to get fully on them. Obviously, the Bardings as well, one of the strongest archer units in the entire game. They only have 8 kills. Really? How? They must have been shooting. I don't know what they could have possibly been shooting to only have 8 kills and have that little ammunition left. That's actually a real shame. You can see the major breaking points are definitely going to be over on this right-hand side, though, as we do have a lot of shock infantry just being thrown forward. We are now seeing a lot of the cavalry, though, being pushed over here as we go onto the wrong unit. Definitely not the unit I wanted to zoom to as the arrow volleys continue just to pound in on that line. Yeah, really trying to focus down the shock infantry, which you can actually see is starting to break back a little bit more. And that Lake Town Guard doing an amazing job. Obviously, I mean, ideally, you would assume it would be great to obviously bring these guys off. And unfortunately, these snagger skirmishers are not on, or maybe they are, on skirmish mode. So they're going to be getting a little bit too close. Obviously, focusing down a unit of Dalian swordsmen. Very in shield wall, who cares? These are the units you want to definitely be killing right now. Trying to kill that Lake Town Guard that's holding up such a good fight. On the back ranks here, we do have a unit of the amazing regions. These are like the elite of the elite for Dale. These are like armor from the Vineland, goddamn, too much anime, from the Elven regions, where they have a lot of Elven crafted weaponry, which is why they do look so glorious. Taking that initial volley, but oh my god, I would have just maybe have charged into that. That unit was completely unbraced, but it does seem like they want to get around and get onto this unit of Mirkwood trackers, but this unit is just not worth it. Obviously, they're going to run into them and then pull out, but this unit's like, what, 400, 500 gold? Compared to like the 12 to 1300 of this cavalry. But again, if they can just pull through, which is exactly what they're going to do, they're obviously going to be up against it. And we do see a pretty smart move here from the blue Dale player, bringing around everything he has to try and just basically kind of collapsing on this. I mean, it would also not be a bad idea just to charge in here, almost sacrifice your general slightly, to just get everything you have here to slow these guys up and just surround them and finish them off. You have 2 units of yeoman bowmen back here as well, firing in shot after shot. And again, they'll be able to rack up some decent kills, especially because they're cheap Dale archers, so nothing to worry about there. Back to the front lines, though, we are seeing the Dalian archer reserve starting to get a little bit thinner, and the front lines definitely struggling. You can see right here the front lines for the Dalian swordsmen are really starting to drop down on numbers now. Only 50 left in this unit. Obviously, there are reserve lines as well, but definitely going to be struggling. These halberds, though, doing the Lord's work. You can't see all the casualties when you zoom in, but when you do that, it looks so much worse. Seeing them all, obviously, they're covered by the grass when we zoom in, so it doesn't actually look that bad. More bowmen being brought in as well, just to really try and clear this area up. And as you can see, they're starting to avoid the Lake Town Guard, who are up to 275 kills, which is pretty decent, even against these evil factions. And even in the central lines as well, they're doing good. These shield walls are holding. And we're now starting to see some of the awful goblins from the Mirkwood trackers being thrown into melee combat. I did see a few of these guys had lots of ammunition left as well, so maybe a bit of a misplay. Also, look at how cool that looks off in the distance, as them and Dale have kind of formed like a bubble. Pillow back in formation. That does look very cool as they fight their way out. Hopefully in the next couple of battles, we will see Gundabad reinforced by the Orcs of Mordor. I definitely do think Gundabad could do with some, reinforcements from the eye as more and more soldiers come up. But yeah, I mean, honestly, there are still a lot of these javelins left remaining. Bringing them around here could definitely soften up this position and push their way forward. Oh my god, no. This is not good. Dale have managed to get their cavalry around the back, and this could just dissolve the battle. A handful of these charges will rip these guys apart. Obviously, Dale will take some casualties as they pull out, but look at that. Look at their kill count just going up. Hundreds of kills just being accumulated on that charge. 161. My god, that was a brutal. They have another unit moving around here, able just to kind of sandwich in the back of his Goldor blades, and this is really, really bad for the Orcs of Dol Guldur. They need to send reinforcements over there to cover that back. They have reserves back here as well. They can commit. Over in the rear guard as well, Dale able to use their cavalry to their advantage. And as I was saying, this is one of the harder positions for them to survive. You know, when they do get the cavalry around the side, it can just be so bad. They do have the reserves. You know, they could just kind of situate a unit of infantry here, a unit of infantry here, and just kind of guard from this cavalry from really being a nuisance. You can see as well this unit of horses have taken heavy casualties pulling out of that fight, but the ability just to hammer an anvil, you know, you'll get 3 or 4 of these charges off before the battle does kind of meet its end. So the way to do that is just, yeah, it's catastrophic, and you can really turn the tide of a battle regardless of the amount of men in there. Cavalry is just so potent. But saying that, it does seem like the orcs have managed to break their way through a few of these sections, and now the archers are having to be committed to this fight. We've got some marksmen of Dale pulling out their swords and just being lobbed into this battle to stem the tide, and we are now getting the final reserves from Dol Guldur being sent up to the fight. The last couple units of champions being thrown in. It was a pretty nice move as well to hold these champions back for Dol Guldur. The men of Dale have used up a lot of their ammunition at this point, which are normally the best kind of units of taking them out. But I'm still just so nervous of that cavalry finding their way in. Cavalry absolutely just demolish, like absolutely demolish infantry. And I mean, they are still breaking. It's just this Lake Town Guard who are able to hold their own very effectively. Oh, and they're going to break through here. This is the perfect time to come around. But with that support of the cavalry, obviously they've routed one unit of cavalry. I still have that entire other one right there. You know, with them routings, you know, this battle line can kind of pull itself back in now, you know, bring these soldiers back into reinforce, and as well as that, we are now seeing the units over on this side being completely smashed, and also the general back here getting up some kills, 266 kills, but almost dying himself, so he got very lucky. But yeah, reinforcements from the rear guard are now able to push in, and yeah, I think we'll be seeing all these infantry reinforcing. So I think they'll have this battle with only 4 minutes left remaining. But again, it's at what cost? You know, it's not like this battle has been very clean for them. They've lost over half of their army now. Literally, just at that point I said it, they'd lost half of their army. You know, and that's not going to be good. You know, the Dwarfs need all the support they can get to take back Erebor in the next scenario battle. So the fact that they've lost a large amount of this force is definitely going to be painful, and I don't think we're going to be seeing as strong of an army as maybe we would like to have seen. So we'll have to see how the scenario does go, you know, because I believe this is a 4-part scenario, 5-part scenario, somewhere around there, and we're on part 2 right now. So eventually we might just see the forces of good run out of steam and just not have enough soldiers left. You know, and at that point, you know, the orcs, just the sheer amount of orcs really just, you know, kind of overwhelm their enemies. Because I think for the most part, the orcs don't have as many restrictions because they're playing like the defensive forces, so they don't really struggle as much with like these numbers that as the good guys do. I think there's much more restrictions on the good guys than the forces of evil, because kind of the good guys are the attackers. Reinforcements are arriving now, and that cavalry of over 300 kills now is moving up. I mean, even this unit of swordsmen is on 178, which is nice as well. The last couple of reserves are being pushed in, but I think that's going to be all she wrote for the battle. Able to bring in a decent amount of armies, and yeah, right now just try and racking up as many kills as possible. You know, if you can get them below like, I don't know, 1800, I think that'd be a good fight. And obviously killing that cavalry is going to be pretty good, but we also now have the regions being brought up on the other side as well. Some more merchant escort being sent on. Obviously, they can still block themselves in, like here and here. However, obviously, the cavalry can just take the long route around and then come in. I'd obviously definitely be trying to get as many of these javelin volleys off from the Merkwood trackers as I can, because they can seemingly rack up a lot of kills quite quickly as well if they just unload they shoot their shot and move in. We have a unit of the general, the Dol Guldur units coming in. But yeah, again, the Lake Town Guard was very potent in this fight, just holding the line. And I definitely think the Merkwood trackers could have been brought in a little bit more effectively to deal with them. You know, they are kind of firing up the missiles, which was a good pick for sure. But yeah, I think definitely they could have prioritized their javelins and their missiles a bit more on the Lake Town Guard, because you guys saw how potent that was at just holding the battle line. And, you know, they did get a lot of kills, but not necessarily like an absurd amount. They just kind of held that line, kept the enemy from breaking through. That's really what you need in a battle like this, is you need a unit that can just break the line. Oh, a nice little charge there by the Dwarves Orc champions, able to get in on there. But the cavalry is now through, and yeah, we're going to see a complete wrap-up now. Cavalry has made their way through, and this is going to be a big rout for Dwarves now. Yeah, 1 or 2 cavalry charges in the back there. The infantry able to go in, and they're just obviously trying to get as many kills as they can now. I mean, they got them below 1,800, and as I said, that's not a bad feat, you know. 1,700 men from 5,000 is going to make it so that the men of Dale do not have a lot to support in the next battle whatsoever, and the dwarfs might be going lacking for the amount of soldiers that are there. Yeah, pick victory. That is probably the best Dwarves could have hoped for in an engagement like this. So obviously, as I said, big shout out to all the players who obviously joined into this battle. I really do appreciate these scenario ones. They're super cool. And if you guys want to be a part of battles like this, then make sure you join the Rise of Mordor Discord. I'll leave links to it down below in the description. So let's take a look at the kills. Obviously, the Men of Dale with over 300 kills on this unit, looking pretty goddamn good. The cavalry here, the rest of the units, yeah, just really able to get themselves stuck in again. Cavalry is always going to be very potent. Over on the other side, we do have some Dogor Blades with 100 kills, which isn't too bad. A Wraiths with 141 kills also, and a unit of Champions with over 200 kills, not too bad whatsoever. So if you guys want to see the next installment in this scenario battle series, then make sure you drop a like down below, comment, and hopefully I'll see you guys there in the next one.